exhausting and terrifying because she's my baby. She's my little girl.
After landing at DIA, a teenager wanders off alone and hasn't been seen now in days.
The fact that she has a wig, somebody had to have given that to her.
Her mom tells Denver7 someone else is involved, and tonight she fears the worst.
House Democrats poised to start the impeachment process for President Trump.
We just need to do this as quickly as possible.
Tonight, a 360 look at the process. With just 12 days left, is it enough time? And what the Constitution says about a post-presidential impeachment.
Stop. I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
The death of McClain now goes to a grand jury.
A lot of it comes down to, in many of these cases, were police following protocol? Did they see a threat?
And the answer you've been waiting for, where and how you can sign up to get in line for a coronavirus vaccine.
First tonight, the calm before the storm. Snow is moving into the Front Range just in time for your weekend.
Meteorologist Stacey Donaldson's in tonight, 10 o'clock, with this Denver7 Weather Action Day with how much snow is on the way. Stacey?
Yes, we have a cold front coming in from the west, and that's going to bring in the snow and the much colder air here for the Front Range. We already have a winter weather advisory issued by the National Weather Service for southern Colorado into the southeastern part of our state until 5 a.m. Sunday morning. That starts tomorrow afternoon. So this cold front is just off to our west, and it's going to be headed this way. And it looks like into tomorrow is when we'll see the cold air and the snow arrive. So we're looking at a timeline that will take us all the way into tomorrow evening, and we'll be talking more about snowfall totals coming up in just a few minutes and when the storm will finally move out a little later.
Thank you, Stacey. Tonight, we're learning more about the Capitol police officer who died after a pro-Trump mob stormed the Capitol Wednesday. Brian Sicknick was from New Jersey and served in the National Guard. There are reports he died after getting hit in the head with a lead pipe or a fire extinguisher. His brother called him a hero, saying he was very proud of his service. Federal prosecutors have now opened a murder investigation. The president hasn't acknowledged Sicknick's death. Flags are lowered tonight at the U.S. Capitol. They are not lowered at the White House.
And tonight there are bipartisan calls for the president to resign. And if he doesn't, House Democrats are expected to introduce an article of impeachment Monday, charging Trump with inciting insurrection. More than 150 Democrats, including members of Colorado's delegation, have co-sponsored the measure.
We're continuing the 360 conversation on the topic of impeachment. The president has less than 12 days in office. Is there enough time?
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is ready for a quick impeachment process. We could see full vote on the House floor middle to late next week. But as you'll recall from Trump's first impeachment last January, impeachment does not mean removal from office. That requires 2/3 of senators voting to convict in a Senate trial. And the majority leader could certainly let the clock run out and not hold a trial. But there is now talk about continuing with impeachment even after Trump leaves office, and that would be unprecedented.
For some 360 context, the Constitution doesn't specifically mention the timing of when an impeachment trial must take place. The argument against doing a post-presidential impeachment, the founders didn't make private citizens subject to impeachment. But others argue former presidents never returned to being private citizens. And the core principle of the Constitution is that nobody is above the law.
So should the president be convicted in an impeachment trial, Congress could include provisions preventing him from ever holding federal office again. And we are hearing from so many of you. An overwhelming majority say Trump should be removed from office. One Denver7 viewer writes, impeachment can protect our democracy from Mr. Trump's tyranny in the future and send a message to our children. Now, Trump does have his defenders. From Leah, if you listen to Trump, he did not tell anyone to storm the Capitol. He suggested a peaceful protest, nothing more. The Democrats, she says, have gone too far, and it may come back to bite them. Keep them coming. 360 at thedenverchannel.com.
Tonight, the president is finding new ways to tweet, despite Twitter permanently suspending his account today. The social media giant made the decision based on how his tweets were interpreted and fears it could incite even more violence. The president later tweeted from the POTUS account, saying, quote, Twitter has gone further and further in banning free speech, and tonight Twitter employees have coordinated with the Democrats and radical left in removing my account. Those tweets were quickly taken down.
A year and a half since Elijah McClain's death, and Colorado's Attorney General says the case now will go to a grand jury.
The legal process could last weeks, even months, and it could be the deciding factor in whether officers or medics are charged. Denver7's CB Cotton reports.
Stop. I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
August 24th, 2019, the day Elijah McClain, an unarmed black man, was stopped by Aurora police officers on his way home from the convenience store. Days later, he'd be removed from life support, and his heart would stop too. Activists and the McClain family attorney have been vocal about Elijah's death, placing blame on the first responders.
Multiple crimes were committed by the officers and medics when they killed Elijah McClain.
Now, Attorney General Phil Weiser has announced a grand jury investigation, which means the jurors could decide who, if anyone, is responsible.
In a lot of these cases, the prosecutors will bring the case to the grand jury for a variety of reasons.
Aya Gruber, a law professor with the University of Colorado Law School, says one reason could be Attorney Weiser wants to be able to subpoena documents and witness testimony. Another reason,
or they think it's a really hot button issue and they don't want to be the ones responsible for making the ultimate charging decision.
So what charges could a grand jury decide on? Here's what we know. Records show medics gave McClain 500 milligrams of the drug ketamine, a dose recommended for a 200-pound person. McClain weighed 143 pounds. The coroner ruled McClain's death undetermined, but didn't rule out ketamine as a factor. Gruber says if any charges are filed, it will depend on the evidence that's presented.
A lot of it comes down to, in many of these cases, were police following protocol? Did they see a threat? And was their assessment of the threat and of the level of force they used reasonable?
The answers to those questions, Gruber says, could result in no charges or an array of homicide charges.
Homicide can range from manslaughter type charges, which just say, hey, this person was negligent or reckless, right, in carrying out policing.
With so many potential outcomes, Gruber feels certain about one thing.
If this investigative grand jury does not lead to the attorney general bringing charges, either himself or via the grand jury, I think people are really going to want to know why.
CB Cotton, Denver7.
All right, to coronavirus now and the effort to get those 70-year-olds vaccinated here in Colorado. And tonight, we have some answers to some of your big questions, where and how you can sign up to get the shot. So most all major Colorado hospital systems, including UC Health, Denver Health, and Centura Health, have already got their online portals set up where you can sign up. We have links to each one of those right now for you on the denverchannel.com. Some of the hospitals may actually reach out to you if you've been a patient there. And because of limited supplies being sent here from the federal government, you might not be able to get an appointment on one of those sites for a few weeks. The governor's goal, 70% of those 70 and older get vaccinated by the end of February. Again, we have those links for you to sign up for appointments right now on the denverchannel.com. And I got an email from Dave C. asking about vaccine plans for veterans. Great question. And Dave, I want you to know, I called the VA for you today and I got some answers. They, the VA, are following the CDC guidelines for who is vaccinated in what order. So currently it's vets 75 and older. There's nothing for you to do right now. You'll get an automated phone call asking whether you want the vaccine. If you do, press 2, and then somebody will call you within 5 business days to schedule your vaccine appointment. They're only offering shots to those enrolled with VA healthcare, and it's free. Also, I tracked down a number for you to call if you have any more specific questions. There it is, 888-336-8262.
The city and county of Broomfield says if it's not your turn, don't worry. They'll notify you when it is. Broomfield has created a vaccine notification system. You fill out a form online, and once they get available doses, they'll notify the appropriate demographics. President-elect Joe Biden plans to release nearly every available dose of the vaccine once he takes office. Right now, the Trump administration has been holding about half the supply to make sure there is enough available when people need to receive their second dose. Some are calling it risky because both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine require a second dose at specific times, and manufacturing still hasn't ramped up to keep up with demand. Others believe the president-elect's plan will help accelerate distribution. A transition official tells CNN they will ensure there's enough vaccine for both doses.
A Littleton family is in desperate need of your help tonight. Their 16-year-old daughter was last seen Monday, shortly after landing at DIA.
Denver7's Gary Brode sat down with the teen's mother, who is tirelessly searching for her little girl and asking for your help.
Whitney Loloff was last seen getting off the light rail here at 61st and Pena. Denver police tell me they know she went east, but they don't know where she went after that. While they say they do not believe she's in danger, her family says they fear the worst. The holidays are a time for family to come together, and that's exactly what Karen Kopp is hoping for.
She's my baby. She's my little girl. So, sorry. I mean, we'll do anything we can to get her back.
Kopp's daughter, Whitney Loloff, went on her annual trip to Phoenix to see her father. She left December 19th. On January 4th, she boarded a plane back to Colorado. A spokesperson for the Denver Police Department says surveillance shows Whitney arrived at DIA, then took the light rail to the 61st and Pena stop.
She ended up walking east on 61st, but during this whole time she's by herself. From there, we're still trying to figure out where she went and, who she could be with at this point.
DPD says they don't suspect foul play, but Whitney's family believes otherwise.
It seems like from having talked to the woman who was sitting next to her on the plane that she was very preoccupied with holding a phone that we did not give her.
Whitney was seen wearing a wig as she left the airport and a long dark jacket.
That she did not get from her dad, she did not get from me. We believe that somebody gave her some things and somebody else is involved that we don't know and that none of her friends know. And that leads me to believe that maybe she met somebody online, that there's a predator of some sort.
Kopp says the leads have gone cold, and at least for now, Whitney's unopened Christmas presents remain under the family tree.
Whitney, if you're listening, we love you. We just want you to come home.
Gary Brode, Denver7.
It just seems to me that the government has really, made some pretty bad moves.
They've really taken a hit this pandemic. Restaurants given the runaround to reopen, to close, to reopen again.
You just have to take whatever we can get at this point.
Tonight, as restaurants continue to claw their way back, we're going 360 on the return of indoor dining. Multiple perspectives on how the restaurant industry can regain a sense of normalcy.